Okay, so here's your homework help. Pretty much these are just two basic construction. Every one of the questions here is just two basic construction. One involving the geometric mean. It's going to involving square roots. That is construction. Which one was it? Construction 14. And the other one involves construction 13 when you have a ratio of some sort. And I'll just say this, when you have a ratio of some sort, you want to make sure that if you're solving for x, the x is on the bottom left of your ratio. All right, so let's do these one at a time. I'm not going to actually do the construction. I'm just going to talk you through it real quick. So question number 4 says AB, and I skipped, I didn't give you the entire setup right here. It says at the very top, it says AB is equal to roughly 15 centimeters. So you're supposed to draw that first. And so I need to break that up into two segments that have a ratio of 3 to 4. And so this is going to be construction 13. There's lots of ways of doing this. If we're breaking something into a ratio of 3 to 4, you can see in red there's how they ask you to do it. I'll say I have a alternate way, and I'm going to just claim that I think my way is a little bit easier than theirs. So I would start off with a segment, and I would break that segment using my compass into 7 equal parts. All right, so I'm not literally doing it with my compass, but 1 part, I'm trying to do these evenly, 2 part, 3 part, 4 part, 5 part, 6 part. Oh, that was horrible. 6 part, and 7 part. Now, yeah, I tried to make these equal, but you get the idea. Just use a compass. You got 7 equal parts. Then the next thing I would do, this is construction 13. From the left endpoint here, I'm going to make that 15 centimeter length segment. So that's segment AB. So this is A, and this is B. And that's supposed to be exactly 15 centimeters long. And we're supposed to break AB up into a ratio of, is it 3 to 4 or 4 to 3? 3 to 4. All right, so here's how it's done. Step number 1, this is construction 13. Since there's 7 equal parts on the bottom, all I need to do is connect the end, which is the 7th part of the bottom in green, to, whoa, I wanted a line, not that. Let's get a straight line. There we go. Let's connect the bottom, the 7th part up to here. Now notice it almost makes a right angle. That's just a coincidence. All right. And then believe it or not, I just need to construct a parallel line to this angle right here, the one that I just made, this unnamed angle. So I need to make a parallel line to that angle right there. On the 3rd green tick mark, I'm going to freehand this, but imagine that I did make it parallel. That look about right? That does. So let's see. If the bottom now has the ratio of there's 3 parts here, there's 4 parts here, and I made the 2 lines parallel, then AB would now be broken into a ratio of 3 to 4. And so that's how it's done. Now, the only thing I've left off is the actual construction of the congruent angle. So how do you make the congruent angle? You draw an arc. I'm going to freehand this. Draw an arc. Draw that same arc. Now it's got to fit here. Draw that same arc here, and then measure the arc to where they intersect correctly. And there you go. That's how you make it. All right. So that's that first one right there. Erase all this. And you're going to see the rest are done similarly. All right. So the rest of the questions that you had were, don't really remember. I'm going to have to go off this second, read your email. Let's see, that was 4. Then you say 6, and then 8 through 14. Okay, so number 6. So number 6, we have that proportion. I'll just go ahead and draw this real quick. So we have, let's see, W over X is equal to X over Y. It should seem familiar. It's the geometric mean. Notice if I cross multiply, I would get X squared is equal to W times Y. Now, maybe I did that in slightly a different order than you were expecting, but you can see what I did there. Take the square root of both sides, and we would get X is equal to the square root of W times Y. And this is going to be construction number 14, I believe. Yeah, 14 right here. So 14. So to do construction 14, it starts off with this statement right here. Now, you can either rewrite it like this, or you can do it straight from the proportion, either one. Okay. So let's see, x is equal to w times y. I go back to the top. Let's see, here's the length of w right here. Here's the length of y right here. And let's see, how does the construction go? The construction goes, I make a segment. I'm going to do this in green. I make a segment. Onto that segment, I copy, let's see, I copy w. So w would be right here. And then I'll label that. So this is the length w, just using my compass for that measurement. And then I do y as well too. So let's see, y is a little bit shorter. So y is like that. And label that w, or sorry, y. So I'm doing construction 14. All right, so the construction is, now ignore the rest of the segment there, or we're just looking at that segment from W to Y. So it says make a perpendicular bisector. I'll do this in blue. So I'm kind of eyeballing it. The perpendicular bisector looks to be roughly, gosh, it looks to be about right there. So remember, the instructions to make a perpendicular bisector is that we go from the two endpoints. Be careful. The actual endpoint is here and here. So from those two, we make arcs above and below, connect the arc intersections, and you get your perpendicular bisector. All right, now measure. I'm going to be measuring from here to here with my compass. And you're basically getting a radius right there. So I'm going to make that measurement right there, and then I'm going to construct a semicircle. Now, I'm going to have to freehand this, so it won't look exactly right. So I'm going to construct a semicircle from the center, the perpendicular bisector. So you're going to make this semicircle right here of radius of what we just measured. And then it turns out, this is the remarkable thing about construction number 14, it turns out that the distance between this intersection right here and the top, so in other words, I'm going to draw it in green here. So this distance from here to here is the square root of wy. Kind of a remarkable answer, a remarkable way of getting to that answer right there. And there you go. So that's the answer to number 6. And once again, I forgot, is it 8 the next one? Yeah, it's 8 the next one that we're going to be doing. All right, so if you pause the video, I'm going to immediately erase this. All right, so number 8. So number 8 is pretty straightforward. Let's see. It looks complicated, but basically there's the construction there. It says take W and add 2Y. So step number 1, just draw a very long segment. I don't know if we'll use it all. And it says W. So take your compass and measure W, and then place it on there. So there's your W. And then I need to do plus 2Y's, and I need to add to that 2Y's. So there's 1Y. That looked horrible. There's 1Y. I'm just using my compass for measurement, and there's a second Y. And so if I were to write what I actually just did, this was your W, and this was Y, and this was Y. Okay? So there's your W plus 2Y, and that's supposed to be equal to 3x. Well, that's going to be equal to 3x. So if I draw another line of that same length from there to there, that is equal to 3x. Now, if you're not satisfied with that, you're like, well, how long is x? Notice the question states in the instructions, in each exercise, construct a segment that has length x satisfying those conditions. So we need to now figure out what x is. So if the red line right there is 3x, then if I broke that line up into 3 equal parts, that would be each equal to x. So we're going to go back to our friend construction number either 12. I mean, 12 is the easiest one to do, and break it up into 3 equal parts. So it would start off with copy 3x over here. I'm going to be doing construction 12 here. From one of the endpoints, let me do it a different color. From one of the endpoints, draw an angle. take your compass and measure 3 parts to it of any distance as long as it fits on the blue. So there's 1 part, there's 2 part, and there's 3 parts. This is construction number 12. I'm eyeballing it here, right? Then what do? In green here, you connect the endpoint to here. Oh, looks like I made another right angle. And then you do that same thing. I'm just going to make parallel lines to the green, right? So parallel line to the green, like that, and like this. And remember, when you make parallel lines, it's not as easy as just freehanding what I just did, right? Remember, the actual construction is make an arc through this one, and then copy that arc to here, and then copy that arc to the last one right here. Remember, I'm copying it from these points right here, from these points right here. Lastly, a lot of colors going on here. Lastly, measure this intersection. Oh, that's horrible. To this intersection. Place your point right here and do that measurement up here. And then draw from here through there. All right, so now you've broken this up into X, X, and X, and they are all equal. So one of those would be actually the answer, say from here to here, that would be what X is. All right, so that is question number 8. And you said 8 through 14, is that right? Yep, 8 through 14. All right, let's take a look at number 9. I'm going to erase this. Number 9, Zx equals Wy, solve for X. All right, I just need to set up a proportion where X is in the bottom right. All right, so how would I do that? Well, notice it says Z times X, that's cross multiplication. So if I set this up in a proportion and Z is on the upper left and X is in the bottom right, then when I cross multiplied, I get Z times X. And then it really doesn't matter. I'm going to just write Wy like this. So Z times X is equal to W times Y. That's my proportion. And then let's see, we are going to do construction number 13. So construction number 13 states the following. Draw an angle. So I'm going to draw an angle. On the bottom one right here, you need to measure Z, and you need to measure, that was horrible. You need to measure Z, and you need to measure W. So I'm going to measure Z. Let's see, how long is Z? I'm looking at my book. Oh, Z is pretty long. If you didn't make it long enough, then you'd have to go back and change it. So there's Z. So this is Z. And then I got to, onto that, I'm going to put a W. And let's say W, literally, I was perfect and went to the end. Probably not perfect, but you get the idea. What does the construction state? It states step number 1, connect the endpoint. Boy, this is kind of repetitive to there. And then I'm going to make a congruent angle through this intersection right here. I'm trying to draw an arrow when I'm trying to draw lines at the same time. There we go. So make a line that's parallel to this one. So in other words, I'm making parallel angles. Draw an arc, copy that arc to right here. Measure between here, and draw that arc. Draw that arc right here, and then connect the arcs. Once again, I'm freehanding this. Obviously, I'm off a little bit, but you get the picture. And therefore, I have made a mistake. I have made a mistake. That is not the construction. All right, that part is correct. I left off a very important part. So going back to here, I was doing the wrong construction. Wrong construction. I was doing construction 12 when I should have been doing construction 13. Now, okay. So let's see. Let me back up. All right, so we got Z. Give me a circle, please. I got Z. Onto that, I crafted W. And then on the other side, I'm going to construct Y. So this Y, measure Y. Y is kind of short, and Y goes to about right there. Now I remember. Okay. I was going to say I didn't think it looked correct. So this time, instead of going from the end of W, we're going to the end of Z, to draw that right there. And now when we make, same thing, we're going to make parallel lines. So arc, and then from this point right here, construct exactly the same arc. Measure from here to here. Copy that onto this. And then last step, we're going to draw from the end point parallel to there. Notice I was pretty far off, but you get the idea. All right. Okay, so what just happened there after I made my mistake and fixed it? Let's see, what did I leave off? This would be the value y right here. And then the last one, this would be your x value right there. Okay, fix my mistake. All right, so that is number 9. Okay, I'm going to do, I'll talk you through these 10 through 14. All right, so 10, notice 10 is it's almost a proportion. We could do a little bit of algebra and make it a proportion. Notice on 10, I'm looking at this one right here. If we simply divide both sides by p, we would get x over p is equal to y over z. And the same construction that we just did is what we want to do, except we need x on the bottom right. So all we're going to do is just flip the proportion completely over and then rewrite it backwards. So if I flip the proportion over, it would get p, and you can do this, right? So p over x is equal to z over y. And then all I have to do is simply move the z over y to this side. And we get exactly the same proportion. So I can, where's my eraser? I can erase this portion. And that's what we're going to set up right there. So once again, I'll just freehand it real quick. Let's see if I can do it without making a mistake this time. So we're going to draw an angle. And the first angle is going to be of length z. Z is pretty long. And then onto that, we're going to attach a y, and y is pretty short. Okay. So there is my z and y. That's z length. This is y's length. Now we make an angle from this end right here. And we mark off length, p? Yeah. Well, p is pretty darn long. I probably didn't make that long enough. So this one will be a very long one because p is very long. So maybe like that. And we know that p is pretty darn long, right? I connect from here to here, and my answer is going to be construct the line that's parallel to that, and wherever that winds up, that is your x value. So this was the p value, and this would be your x value. Okay. 11 and 12 and 13, I'll do one of them, but they're all done basically the same way. They're all square roots, right? So an easier way of doing that, let's see. We need to find, we want the square root all by itself on number 11. So let's see, on number 11, if we multiply both sides by 3, we would get 3x. 1/3 we cancel on the right side is equal to the square root of yp. This one is going to need 2 constructions in order to make it work. So this is construction 14. This is the one where we make a line where you have y, and then you have, it's going to have to be very long because p is very long. And then you have p. So this is y, this is p. We find the perpendicular bisector of said segment, y to the end of p. So we find the perpendicular bisector. Then we are going to measure between here and here with our compass. We're going to draw the semicircle of that measurement that we just measured. Oh, that was really horrible. And then the final answer would be the physical distance between here and here, the red line right there. And that would be the square root of yp. However, that's not what x is equal to. That's what 3x's are equal to. So we would have to, oh geez, we would have to take that measurement. All right, I've already forgotten which one. It's from here to here. This is the square root of yp. We would need to draw it again over here, and then we would need to cut that into 3 parts. And we've already done that on a previous one. So cut that into 3 parts to find out what 1x. So how do you cut that into 3 parts? Remember, we make something that's broken up into 3 equal parts right here. 1, 2, 3. This time we connect the end. We connect the end to right here. And then we make parallel lines. And that breaks it up into 3 equal parts. And so one of those parts would be equal to x. Say that part right there. All of these are x. All right. You can see 12, it's done. It's just that the only difference is that W is going to be 3 times the length of W. So you need a big piece of paper for that one. And 13, you might need a big piece of paper because it's 6 times Y times Z. And then lastly, number 14. 14 looks pretty complicated. It says construct AB of length P. So P is already listed right there. So just copy P on, and that's the length of AB. And it says divide it into 2 parts that have the ratio of W to Y. So this is the construction where we, where's W and Y? So this is the construction once you have AB. So if this is the length of AB, we drop this down right here. We want to break it down into, was it WY? So we got to make a length of W and Y. So how long is W? W is about this long, and Y is about this long right here. So remember, the top part was our P value, or AB. So this whole thing from here all the way to here was AB. In other words, it was the length of P. And then all we're going to do is make it into a ratio of W to Y. So we connect that to that, and then we make a parallel to that right there. And now it's in the ratio of W to Y. And that was the last one. All right, so these are, okay, especially when the segment is long. And by the way, I didn't do an actual construction. I just freehanded everything and talked you through the constructions. So you'd actually would have to do each construction. Okay, hopefully that helped. If not, send me another email.